Hi, welcome back to Presentation Skills. Um, Again, hope you're doing well. Um, Last time I mentioned Sarnoff's wheel, right? And I want to start out. This is kind of like our warm-up activity, but what I'd like to do is change it just a little bit. By last or 2 classes ago, we said that gestures are useful in a presentation, and we don't want them over rehearsed, but sometimes they're very thought out. So let's add a gesture to each. Now, can I ask you to stand up? And as you remember, project your voice, loud voice. And this time, as we say it, do a gesture. So like the first one, I'm glad to be here. I would say, I'm glad to be here. And like put your hand on your chest or point to yourself. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. Oops, I'm sorry, I have to get out of the way of the screen. I have something special, and I'm holding my hands like I'm holding something because your message, remember, you want your presentation to be useful and of interest to the audience, and that is special. I have something special. I will give it to you. And you're holding out your hand as if you were passing them something. So let's try that together. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. I have something special. I will give it to you. Okay, now can you pause the video and practice this like 3 times. Remember your posture. Your feet are about shoulder width apart, 45 centimeters or so. You're standing tall, loud voice, and you're looking at either your phone or your computer, right? Either way, there's probably a camera lens, right? If you can see it, that's the eye. You're making eye contact. If you're using a computer, there's probably a camera at the top of it. So look at that, make eye contact, and try to gesture. Okay? Now, if you're holding your phone, you'll have to gesture with your phone in your hand. That's okay. All right? Let's try it. Let's try it together once, and then I'm going to ask you to to pause the video and do it 3 times on your own. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. I have something special. I will give it to you. Okay? Now on your own 3 times to the camera. Okay. You're going to hear Sophie, a young woman, talk about her best friend, Kate. Can you look at page 12? And on the left you see Sophie's room. And on the right you see Kate's room. What can you tell about these 2 young women? Once you think of at least 3 or 4 things, and turn off the video while you're thinking, and please say them out loud. Okay, did you get 3 or 4? I'll tell you what I noticed. It looks like they both have 3 people in their family. They both are into hip hop. And I think they're both into hip-hop fashion. How do I know? Well, there's the baseball cap on Kate's bed, but on the chair in Sophie's room. And look at that jacket. What do you call that? In Japanese, it's a parka, right? Actually, in English, parka is different. Parka is a big, heavy winter coat. But they have, what's that? In English, it's called a hood, right? That kind of sweatshirt in English is called a hoodie. A Japanese parka is a hoodie, a sweatshirt or a trainer that has a hood, and that's very popular in hip hop fashion. What else do you know about them? Well, I know that Kate likes. Okay, we see a science book, we see a math book. Maybe she likes that kind of thing. I can't tell what Sophie's books are, but they look different. They look to me like they might be novels. Okay, so maybe she likes reading literature. And how about neatness? What was the word you learned last time that means not so neat and clean? Starts with M. Messy. Yeah, it looks like Kate's room is not. It looks like Kate's room is a little messy, right? The bed spread on the cover on her bed is not so neat, and books just laying on the desk. Okay, so those are a few things I noticed. Now, on the bottom of the page, this is information about Kate. Okay, now Sophie made this outline. Actually, the book calls it a brainstorm map. I would call it a mind map. And just look at this. At that, are there any words you don't know? Interests, obviously that means anything you're interested in. I think I mentioned last time, I usually would not say hobby to talk about people your age. Hobby sounds to me like children. I would say I'm interested, and that might be, well, these guys seem to be interested in hip hop, right? Okay. And then on the top of the next page, you have some sentences that are missing from the outline. Okay? Now what the book is suggesting is first you make a brainstorming map, and then you write an outline. And that's one way to do it. Again, let me give you your choice. Please either, as we listen, circle, or if you have a highlighter pen, these kind of pens that are they're usually yellow or orange or pink, highlight the words you hear. Or you can either, the book says copy the sentences from the top of page 13, or you could just draw a line to where the sentence goes. Okay? So as you listen, please do this either on page 12 or page 13. And as always with the video, you can do it a couple of times if you want to. One idea is to plan on doing it twice. The first time, don't do anything with the book. The first time, just listen, see how much you can understand. Second time, then do the actual activity. Okay, here we go, and let me turn off the lights and make this bigger. And here we go.
Morning, everyone. I'm Sophie, and I'm happy to speak with you today. In Nigeria, there's a saying about friendship. Hold your friends in both hands. I really like this idea, and today I'd like to tell you about my best friend. I'll tell you how we met, what we have in common, how we're different, and what we do together. After you've listened to me, you'll know why I hold my friend in both hands. Kate and I met 4 years ago in our high school dance circle, and we became friends almost immediately. I guess that's because we have a lot in common. For example, our family, our personality, and the things we like to do. Kate doesn't have any brothers or sisters, and I'm an only child too. Also, our mothers are both elementary school teachers. So how would I describe Kate? Well, she's very easygoing and laid back, just like me. We don't get upset very often, and we don't argue much. We're also both very positive, optimistic people. Our number one passion is hip-hop music and fashion. You can guess that when you see us, because we both always dress in street-style clothes. As I said, Kate and I have a lot in common, but we're also different in some ways, like our studies, our reading habits, and some of the things we like. Kate's very smart, and she's a top student, especially in math. But I'm the opposite. I'm terrible at math. I'm much better in English, and I love reading novels. But Kate hates reading books. She only reads music magazines. She's also a night person and hates getting up early. On weekends, she sleeps until noon. I'm more of a morning person. I always get up before 8 a.m. Kate and I see each other a lot on campus, of course, but we also get together on weekends. We usually hang out at the mall and have a coffee at Starbucks. We also take a hip-hop dance class twice a month at a studio near the campus. Well, after listening to me, now you know about my best friend Kate and why we are such good friends. We have a lot of things in common, but we're also different in some ways, and that makes our friendship more interesting. We've been good friends for only a few years, but I'm sure we will remain friends for life. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and thank you, Sophie. Two things I'll point out that I just thought were interesting things that came up. She started off with that Nigerian proverb, hold your hands in both hands. I don't think she called it a proverb. I think she said there's a saying from Europe, or from Nigeria. But proverbs, like kotowaza, right, are often a good way to start a presentation. Yeah? And so if you wanted to find one, just Google, friendship proverbs, and you'll find lots of choices, probably from all over the world. The other thing I wanted to point out, when she was describing her friend, she was describing Kate, she said, she's really smart. Okay? How do you say smart in Japanese? For many people, it means skinny, right? Yoseta. In English, smart almost always means clever. Atamagai. Okay? So really smart. Oops, I lost the book pages. Let me open it up again. Here we go. Okay, I'll let you go through on your own to make sure you have the correct answers. Let's go on to the next page. The introduction and the conclusion. Presentations. Okay, these are all the parts of a presentation. Okay, not every presentation will have every part, but you should know that, okay, English presentations are organized differently than Japanese. It's just different logic systems. Let me go down. We're on page 14. I'm looking at this list, Okay? And I'm just going to define each one. Closer is what you're doing to start to finish the presentation. Okay? Greeting is at the very beginning. You're saying hello, basically. Opener. Now, opener and greetings are kind of similar, but the opener is what you're starting out with to try to get the audience's attention. I think it was the last class or 2 classes ago, I talked about a hook. You want something to grab your audience. You want something that they're really going to pay attention to. Preview is at the beginning, near the beginning, when you say, I'm going to tell you about A, B, and C. I'm going to tell you about my best friend, how we met, how we're the same, and how we're different, for example. Review is toward the end. You tell them what you told them. Okay, so that's how we met, how we're the same, and how we're different. So you're reviewing the information. A signal phrase, that's a special word we don't usually use except for talking about presentation. It means I'm starting to finish. Okay? So when you say something like, in conclusion, in closing, something like that as a signal. Thanks is just what it sounds like, thanking the audience for listening. And a topic statement is, again, at the beginning, you're trying to introduce, this is what I'm going to talk about. Today I want to tell you about my best friend. It's a topic statement. Okay, if you find this sort of thing useful to understand better, please match the words here. But, okay, different people learn differently. If you're the kind of person who likes, I like to know the name, I like to label it, great, do this. These are all examples. These are all examples. So another way of doing the activity is just read the example and look at the vocabulary at the top and find out what it is. So let's do one together. This first guy in the purplish shirt. Finally, I truly believe that he, Jun, and I will be best friends for life. So finally, so that sounds like a closer, okay? Because we're getting close to the end. Okay, I suggest you turn off the video and take a few minutes, do either the top or the bottom, and we'll check them both. Okay, just to review, and I'll just give you the what I think the answers are, and you can decide why. Okay, I think finally, I truly believe is the closer. Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa, and I'm happy to speak to you today. Is the greeting. A common saying about friends is friends are like stars. This, I think, is the topic. Okay. You now know why May and I are such good friends. So that's the review. You now know, and she's telling what she just said. And in closing, that's a signal phrase. I'll explain how we met, what we have in common, and how we're different. That's the preview. She's saying, this is what I'm going to talk about. Thank you for listening is the thank you. And today I want to tell you about my best friend is an opener. Okay? All right. How are we doing on time? Let me go back here. Okay, the Flipgrid task. Last time you told us about a friend from when you were younger. Today's task is talk about another friend. Okay? But here's a suggestion. Just to make it a little different, maybe talk about your mom or your dad. Okay? Or if you have a pet. Or if you have a brother or a sister. You're talking about somebody you love. Okay? It doesn't matter who. And just tell us about them. Okay? And then please watch at least 5 other students' videos and respond to them. And be thinking. Okay. Next week, we're going to try to finish this unit, and then you'll be doing a little longer presentation. Probably your answers on Flipgrid are 1 or 2 minutes. Your presentation next week, after next week's class, will probably be like, say, 3 minutes or something like that. You're going to be telling us about a very good friend. Please be thinking about your friend. What do you want to say about her or him? What about your personality is the same? What's different? Okay. Thank you. Stay healthy. And goodbye for now.